A grey sky hung over the city, foreshadowing impending changes. Tyler sat behind the wheel of his used car, nervously tapping his fingers on the steering wheel. The traffic lights seemed frozen in red, and the stream of pedestrians showed no sign of ending. "When will they ever end?" he muttered, glancing impatiently at his watch. Being late for a client meeting was a luxury he couldn't afford, especially after his recent demotion to a low-level insurance agent. Suddenly his attention was drawn to a luxurious SUV that stopped in the adjacent lane. Tyler whistled in admiration, gazing at the gleaming black body and chrome details. "I wish I had a car like that," he thought, imagining how his life would change with such a vehicle. Curiosity got the better of him, and he squinted to get a better look at the driver. To his surprise, a woman was behind the wheel. Probably some sugar baby of a rich old man, he thought bitterly, but then froze as he recognized the familiar profile. It was Diana, his ex-wife, the same Diana he had kicked out of his life 3 years ago, leaving her penniless. Tyler felt the ground shift beneath him. How could this be? Where did she get the money for such a car? The light finally turned green, but Tyler, forgetting his hurry and his client, decided to follow the SUV. Driven by a mix of curiosity and envy, he steered his old car after the shiny Jeep, unaware that this day would change his life forever. Diana, his ex-wife, was a creative soul. They had met when she came to the company, where he worked, to paint a mural on the wall. She was charming, happy, and always covered in paint. Who would love to look at that? Let alone pay for it. If it were up to him, he wouldn't pay a dime for it. But Tyler told Diana a different opinion. What started as a short fling turned into a long-term relationship. Tyler wasn't sure how it happened, but he was content. Diana was pleasant to be around, had her own opinions, but was utterly naive and clueless about people. Eventually, Tyler decided she was suitable for marriage. He went all out with the proposal, arranging a romantic dinner on the office rooftop with candles and expensive wine. Diana, with her naive eyes and wide smile, confidently said yes, and an elegant ring adorned her finger. They decided to celebrate their wedding at a hotel, which Tyler later regretted. He had invited not only family and friends, but also his bosses and colleagues. But Diana's boisterous friends didn't fit in at all. Their mere presence made the groom blush and avoid his boss's disapproving glances. But Diana seemed oblivious, laughing loudly with her friends. "As soon as the celebration ends, I'll forbid her from seeing these friends," Tyler thought. "She's my wife, and I don't want these savages in my house." Surprisingly, Diana calmly accepted Tyler's decision, though she insisted on meeting her friends outside the home. "Tyler, dear, I can't just cut people off I've known half my life because you don't like them. That's silly. I don't like some of your friends either, but I don't complain," she said. Tyler retorted, "You can't compare, Diana. These are my friends, the elite." Diana knew what true elite meant, and Tyler's friends didn't fit that description, but she kept her thoughts to herself. If he liked them, let him socialise. However, depriving his wife of her usual company wasn't enough for Tyler. Her constant dishevelled state, the strange tuft of hair on her head, and the ever-present smell of paint, dust and chalk began to irritate him. What once amused him now grated on his nerves. With arguments, talks and threats, Tyler forced Diana to change. "If you love painting so much, go to museums and exhibitions, like civilized people. Why wander the back alleys, always staining your clothes with paint? Our apartment already reeks of spray paint. I'm tired of explaining to acquaintances why my wife, who supposedly works in an office, doesn't even have a suitable diploma." Tyler's words truly hurt Diana, but she remained silent. She hadn't spoken to him for several days. Then Tyler noticed that all the albums, spray paint cans, easels and brushes had disappeared from the house. His wife stopped vanishing at night, and the pleasant scent of lotion filled the air. To make amends with his silent spouse, he took her to a restaurant, ordered expensive wine and presented her with a bouquet and golden earrings. Diana looked absolutely stunning in her burgundy-fitted dress and new hairstyle. "Look at us," he said. "What a beautiful couple we make." He gently embraced her and turned her towards the enormous mirror. "This is what I was talking about," he said. "You truly look like my wife now. You're so much better, and we can find a hobby more befitting our status." Diana said nothing in response. She stared intently at her reflection, feeling a sense of disconnect. The woman in the mirror was not her. However, she took note of his words. At Tyler's request, she began exploring new hobbies, changing them as frequently as gloves. After numerous attempts, she finally settled on photography. Her artistic nature effortlessly found the perfect angles and lighting. Her photographs were always vibrant and seemed to come alive. Soon, her services were in demand. Diana was often invited to various events as a personal photographer. In her spare time, she loved capturing shots of passers-by, animals, plants, and the city's architecture. Tyler, however, was not pleased with her newfound passion. He found it irritating how she excelled in her hobby. To him it seemed like a waste of time. Conversations with her became dull, always revolving around her work. He wondered why his acquaintances admired her achievements. What was there to praise? Taking photos? Anyone could do that with a phone these days. He often lamented this to himself. As their feelings for each other waned, Tyler took a desperate step and started an affair. This new woman was everything he had dreamed of, elegant, regal, and confident in her significance. No more silly hobbies or strange friends. Everything was always in order, simply perfect. Diana only found out about the divorce when she received the papers. Tyler revelled in seeing the shock on his ex-wife's face. "You have a day to collect your rags from the house," he said after their marriage was finished. Diana didn't argue. She simply nodded and left. Tyler never bothered to check on her life after that. He was too preoccupied with his new lover, Scarlett. Scarlett was always impeccably dressed. Tyler never saw her without makeup or in casual lingerie. His new mistress consumed his life. She took him to exhibitions, museums, restaurants, and various corporate events. And she never stopped asking for money, for cosmetics, clothes, shoes, or another handbag. "I need to keep up my appearances," she would say. With a satisfied smile, Tyler indulged her every request, lavishing her with time and money. Sometimes he longed for the past, where the undemanding and naive Diana would wait for him at home with dinner ready, where he could come home, loosen his tie and relax on the couch in his office attire. But now, seeing Diana again, he barely recognized her. How could she have changed so dramatically? It had only been 3 years. Without thinking, he followed his ex-wife's car. He expected her to head home to the small one-bedroom apartment she used to live in. But the car turned in the opposite direction, towards an area Tyler had only heard about, a district with luxurious mansions. Soon they arrived at a grand gate that opened automatically for the SUV. Diana stepped out, handed the keys to a man, and walked into the house. Tyler parked his car nearby and, driven by a strange feeling, followed her. As he entered the courtyard, he was struck by a mix of admiration and envy. A vast 2-story mansion with a spacious yard, a pool, and security guards who, for some reason, ignored him. Tyler, without hesitation, headed into the building after his ex-wife. Diana was in the spacious lobby, conversing with a young man and woman. When they noticed him, Diana said, "Thank you, you may go, I'll catch up with you later." She turned and slowly walked towards her former husband. "Who would have thought fate would surprise me like this? Are you here on business or just curious?" "Well, look at you, back on your feet so quickly. It's difficult to believe. How did you manage to achieve all this so fast? And how did you afford such a car and a luxurious home?" Diana smirked. "So it's envy that brought you here? Well, come on, I'll tell you everything." Diana led Tyler into a cosy room with soft armchairs and a coffee table. They were immediately offered drinks. "Have a seat." Diana gestured to a chair. Tyler still couldn't contain his astonishment. He couldn't believe that his ex-wife was living surrounded by all this splendour. "You're lying. You can't live here as the owner." "But I do, my darling husband. You might not know this, but some photos are auctioned off for unimaginable prices." Tyler nearly choked on his surprise. "And I got lucky. Several of my works sold for enormous sums. This happened after the divorce. I discovered not only my talent as an artist and photographer, but also my entrepreneurial spirit. I decided to try my hand at business." Diana gestured around the room. "All this is mine. This mansion is my nest, my photography studio. The most talented masters come here to learn. We don't just create professional photo shoots, we also do advertising, organise exhibitions, and conduct classes for everyone. You could say you played a part in my success." Tyler was left speechless, consumed by envy. "You tried to break me, to shut down everything in my life, erasing my individuality. But I did things my way, as I saw fit. I became stronger, like an iron lady. So thank you. Now I need to go. You can find your own way out." Diana stood up and left the room without another word. Left alone with his thoughts, Tyler rose and paced around the room. Elegant photographs adorned the walls, each signed by his ex-wife. This only fueled his anger. How dare she speak to him like that? His hand reached out to snatch one of the photos, but at that moment a muscular man entered the room. "It seems you're lost. Let me show you the way out." And at home, an even greater unpleasantness awaited Tyler. "Tyler, I'm leaving." Scarlett met him at the door with her suitcases packed. "Why?" he stammered, hoping it was just a joke. "You're sweet and caring, but you're not on my level. Goodbye, darling." She kissed him lightly on the cheek and left, leaving only the scent of expensive perfume behind. "Go to hell," he muttered. He had never felt so humiliated in his life. Alone, Tyler fell into despair. He began to abuse alcohol, trying to drown his feelings of humiliation and envy. His work suffered, and he was soon fired from the company for chronic tardiness and negligence. Without a job or stable income, Tyler quickly fell into debt. He could no longer afford to live in the prestigious district and was forced to move to a small apartment on the outskirts of the city. One day, wandering the streets in search of work, he saw a huge billboard with one of Diana's photographs. It was a stunning piece that had gained international recognition. Tyler felt a wave of bitterness and regret. He tried to contact Diana, hoping for her help, but she didn't respond to his message. His former friends and colleagues also turned their backs on him, unwilling to associate with someone who had fallen so low. In the end, Tyler found himself completely alone, without money, work or prospects. He often thought about how cruelly he had treated Diana, and how his own pride and arrogance had led to his downfall. But nothing could be done.